Well, here's a hymn from the Eastern Christian liturgy for tonight. O cave, prepare yourself to receive the mother who carries Christ in her womb. O manger, receive the word who destroyed the sins of all. O shepherds, keep watch and then bear witness to the awesome wonder. O Magi, come from Persia and bring your gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh to the King, for the Lord has appeared from a virgin mother. She bows to him like a servant and speaks with him at her breast, saying, "How were you conceived in me? How did you grow in me, my God and Saviour?" Well, we have arrived. Our Advent journey has reached its goal. We have come to Bethlehem. How many today, there must be converging in faith on Bethlehem, encouraged by unseen angels, propelled by an inner star, like each and all of us here tonight. 2,000 years ago also, the place was packed with people gone up to be enrolled. Well, this is nicely evoked in a recent poem of the poet laureate Carol Ann Duffy. You walk into Waterstones and there it is for sale. Everyone there who had to be there. The lamps lit, all Bethlehem full. Every cave stabled with beasts, jostling for hay in the fusty gloom. Every room peopled and packed from rafter to floor. Barley bread in the ovens rising. 100 suppers, honey, fig, olive, grape, set before stonecutter, potter, tent maker, maid, nurse, farmer, child. The inn bulged, travellers boozed, bawled, bragged, swapping their caravan tales, moneylenders biting their gold coins, painted women dancing on tables, mules brayed outside in the stable, a youth in the courtyard strummed on a harp. Well, then, a few hours and lines later comes the small, raw cry of a new life. The small, raw cry of a new life. And Mary, wondering, how were you conceived in me? How did you grow in me, my God and Saviour? Tonight's Gospel begins with a decree from Caesar Augustus, the first of the line of Roman emperors. It begins with government in action, bureaucracy, with a census of the whole world, says St. Luke, that is, the Roman Empire. And everyone went to his own town to be registered. Well, if you put a positive spin on this, here was a state organizing itself, creating a space of law and order, of peace and security, with possibilities of communication and trade and prosperity and even higher culture. And Rome, the great Roman Empire, did manage all this. Rome succeeded in registering, enrolling how many cities and tribes and people into its own project over a great area and for several centuries. The English philosopher of the 17th century, Thomas Hobbes, gave the famous description of what life is like outside civilization, such as that. No arts, no letters, no society, and which is worst of all, continual fear and danger of violent death, and the life of man solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. And ancient Rome did build a house where it was possible for life to be better than that, to have a modicum of stability, a better life. Well, that house fell, but others have succeeded it. How many hundreds of thousands this last year are flocking to the house of Europe for a better life, desperate to be enrolled. And we are very enrolled in this house, or household, or some equivalent, enrolled and registered and on innumerable databases. We'd probably be shocked if we knew how many, with passports and driving licenses and bank statements and cards and PIN numbers. Caesar has got a grip on us all. And it's all sort of okay as far as it goes. So Joseph set out in order to be registered together with Mary, his betrothed, who was with child. Joseph and Mary went along with this too. Render unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar. But something else was also afoot. We'd have heard a donkey's slow, deliberate hooves on the stones. We'd have heard a conversation at the pub door. And if we'd tagged along, seen the stable behind the inn, present, animals, goat herd, shepherds, innkeeper, wife. Then the small, raw cry of a new life, and Mary wondering, how were you conceived in me? How did you grow in me, my God and Saviour? O believers, says another Eastern Christian hymn, let us celebrate the nativity of Christ. Let us raise up our minds to Bethlehem, and we shall be raised up in spirit. We shall meditate on the Virgin who is on her way to the cave to give birth to the Lord of all and our God, who grants mercy to our souls. This small, raw, new life, this child in the manger, is the foundation stone of another house, the beginning of another household. The child who is born for us tonight, this son given to us, this son of royal David, this new Solomon, has built a better house than any Caesar. Wide is his dominion in a peace that has no end. His Bethlehem, his house of bread, has nourishment for us which will never leave us hungry. Enrolled in it, we can render to God what belongs to God and enjoy our full humanity, raised up in spirit by the God who has come down to our flesh. The crazy stable close at hand, with shaking timber and shifting sand, grew a stronger thing to abide and stand than the square stones of Rome. At the beginning of this millennium, I think we humans are experiencing unprecedented displacement, dislocation, uprooting, exiles and migrations of every kind, physical, social, ethical, technological, geopolitical, cultural, and all the rest. The physical migration is the outward sign of it. There are 244 million migrants in the world as a whole. That is, people living outside their own native country or homeland. Just thinking of Europe, by the end of the year, there will have been some 1 million people claiming asylum in the European Union. But the dislocation covers every area of human life. If ever it was true that here we have no abiding city, it is true now. If ever every level of our being was crying out for a house and a home, stability, it is now. We must no longer be children, says St. Paul, tossed to and fro and blown about by every wind of doctrine. But speaking the truth in love, we must grow up in every way into him who is the head, into Christ. In what, with whom, in the end, do we enroll ourselves, our truest selves? Who do we want to belong to? Because ourselves can never be satisfied with life under Caesar. Well, let's try this raw, swaddled child, the wondering mother, the thoughtful, practical Joseph, the awestruck shepherds, the magi swaying on their camels. Let's enroll for the crazy stable, the house of bread, the empire of Christ. The shepherds were enrolled by the angels, the wise men by a star. We are enrolled by baptism, inscribed on the database of heaven. We are enrolled by faith, written on the palms of his hands. So may our faith be reborn tonight beside the manger. Let's enter our names, our inmost selves, for the house that God is always building out of our ruins, the open house with the merciful door. It's the best gift we have to offer our contemporary world. How good that we're here, going to Bethlehem, to the place where God was homeless and all men are at home, and we can find the beginning of peace.